the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Get trained as an IT professional from the comfort of your home. Dynamic Tech Academy gives you a unique opportunity through our 6-month program, during which you learn skills to transition to being a full-time IT professional. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet the vast majority of them land jobs a month after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student placement, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will give you a resume, interview preps, one-on-one coaching from experienced instructors, and job placement assistance. Within this course, you get more than 300 hours of theories combined with real-world applications and practical skills you can apply on day one on your job. At the end of the program, our students can be certified as Red Hat Systems Administrator, AWS Cloud Engineer, AWS Security Specialist. Visit our website at www.dynamictechacademy.com to register.
Good evening and welcome to this very important broadcast. Towards the close of 2016, we, the Never Again generation, woke up to an unfortunate reality. We realized that our basic human rights to speak, to live, and even to make decisions for ourselves have not only been hijacked or taken away completely, but the Republic of Cameroon was at the close of her annihilation agenda, an objective or a master calculation to wipe up our generation and to own whatever God has given to us as a people. That is how unfortunate we found ourselves. Another unfortunate part of it all was that it was based on illegality, and the international community was most probably silent. And that explains why the BS regime will beat lawyers and teachers to destroy, will shoot our innocent, harmless, armless, peaceful protesters to kill. And then it dawned on us that somebody would have to change the trajectory. Somebody would have to take responsibility. The audacity of our generation to change the course of an evil past has been met with a lot of cruelty. I must attest that the journey has been very challenging. The need to create relationship, friendship, both internal and external, can never ever be overemphasized. Even the devil himself goes to China and Russia in seek of some form of a relationship. Tonight, we have a friend. In his own words, he said he has passion for our rights to self-determination. He's someone most of you know and have admired based on his selfless, voluntary activism on our behalf. He tweets very regularly on a big platform to advocate for our freedom. And this is no other but Tibor Nagy. The question is, who is Tibor Nagy? Is it Tibor Nagy, Tibor Nagy, Tibor Nagy? That's a very important question that we all await answers tonight. And right after that, we will start the discussion. Stay tuned.
Today we take a look at who Tibor Nagy is. Born at a time when the policies of the Hungarian aristocracy could be best described as those of a reluctant follower, a time when Hungarian authorities would drag their feet carrying out duties to their German ally, a time which could rightfully be considered the height of Hitler's successful campaigns of aggression. Tibor Peter Nagy Jr. would rise from his home country Hungary to the summit of diplomatic services to humanity in the world's #1 superpower, the United States of America. And after over 7 decades later, he would position himself as a voice for the voice. Ambassador Tibor P. Nagy Jr. is currently serving as Vice Provost for International Affairs at Texas Tech University. During the 2002 academic year, he was the Department of State's diplomat in residence at the University of Oklahoma. Previously, he was the U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia from 1999 to 2002, and Ambassador to Guinea from 1996 to 1999. Before that, he attended the Department of State's prestigious senior seminar. During this year, Ambassador Nagy lectured extensively at educational institutions and to civic groups around the U.S. about U.S. foreign policy, Africa diplomatic careers, and foreign service life. Ambassador Nagy joined the Foreign Service in 1978 as a management analyst in the Bureau of Personnel. His first overseas assignment was as General Services Officer in Lusaka, Zambia, from 1979 to 1981. After that, he was assigned to Victoria, Seychelles, for 2 years as Administrative Officer. He served as Systems Administrator for the African Bureau in Washington from 1983 to 1984, and then returned overseas as Administrative Officer in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, from 1984 to 1986. For the next 8 years, he was Deputy Chief of Missions at Lomé, Togo, 1987 to 1990. Yaoundé, Cameroon, 1990 to 1993, and Lagos, Nigeria, 1993 to 1995. Ambassador Nagy was born in Budapest, Hungary on April 29, 1949, and arrived in the United States as a political refugee in 1957. He received a BA from Texas Tech University in 1972 and an MSA from George Washington University in 1978. He speaks Hungarian and French and has received numerous awards, including the Department of State's Superior Honor Award, 5 Meritorious Honor Awards, as well as being runner-up for the prestigious Deputy Chief of Missions of the Year's Award. Ambassador Nagy is a resident of Texas and is married to Eva Jane Nagy. The Nagys have 2 sons and a daughter, Peter, Stephen, and Tisa. With his wealth of vast discoveries, knowledge, and experience, We are delighted not just to have him for the discussion, but as a voice for Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia during these difficult times. Good evening and welcome. I am Star Smart reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba TV.
Mr. Nash, Mr. Tibor, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, good afternoon, or wherever your listeners are. Wonderful to be with you, and thank you very much.
It's a great delight to have you. We understand that you have been embarking on different tours within our Ambazonian community, and that's a laudable effort that is worth appreciating. Thank you for opting to join us in this exclusive discussion with Tapa the King.
My
We
pleasure.
really, yeah, go right ahead, please.
I'm willing to talk to just about anybody from Ambazonia about Ambazonia. So thank you again very much for having me.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about, and the fact is we really do not have enough time. So I wouldn't waste any second of your time. Straight away, you have confessed publicly that you're very passionate about Ambazonia as an oppressed people and about our movement for liberation. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, as your wonderful introduction mentioned, I had experience as deputy ambassador in Yaoundé. I was deputy to a very famous U.S. ambassador, Ambassador Francis Cook, and we were equally very passionate at the time about the democratic forces that were being unleashed in Cameroon. I got to know a lot of the key players quite well, including John Fruindi, Cardinal Toomey, some of the others. I did many, many trips to Southwest and Northwest. I climbed Mount Cameroon. We spent a lot of time in Bamenda, Buea, Limbe, other places. So I've been following Cameroon even after leaving it. And when I became Assistant Secretary of State, Cameroon was one of the top agenda items for me because of the brutality that the Yaoundé regime was exercising against the people of Northwest and Southwest provinces. Unfortunately, during my time as Assistant Secretary, we were not able to do much to relieve the suffering. And since I left the job as Assistant Secretary, the cause of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia remains one of several passions that I have where I will do everything possible to help the situation get much better.
That's quite amazing. Sometime early this month, you tweeted against ICG, International Crisis Group, suggestion. They've purported themselves as researchers who are interested in ensuring peace in different parts of the world. And this group would have to make a preposterous, if I would say, suggestion for Cameroon to reform whatever they gave to Ambazonia in 2019, and that's the special status. And you protested loudly against it on Twitter. That actually flattered me, and I guess that was where I thought we should have this discussion. Why exactly did you decide to protest against it, and what is in it that you think it's an entirely bad idea?
Here's the thing. I have been very careful to try and avoid advocating for any specific solution for Southern Cameroons because I know that there are many, many good people who are passionate about one of the various mechanisms whether it's a real federation, whether it's independence, things like that. So I have avoided being in favor of any of those methods myself because my goal has always been the achievement of peace, justice, full human rights, full dignity of citizenship to the people of Southern Cameroon. However, however, the special status, in my view, is a government of Cameroon plan to basically confuse the people because, again, from what I have seen, the government of the Republic of Cameroon has not, up to now, had any serious intentions of providing for the full rights and privileges of the Southern Cameroonian people. That's why when I saw that that was being offered as a solution, I honestly could not support it in any way. If the government in Yaoundé was to show a different side, if they were to indicate any type of seriousness, then it would be different. But up to now, they have not. That's why, again, I don't like being prescriptive about mechanisms, but that one really struck out to me as not serious.
Yeah, and it would appear that Cameroon is um, behaving so arrogant, ignoring the fact that these were two states of equal status who came together, and nobody seemed to explain how the status of one side of an experiment, to be polite, or a failed union, where the status have gone. Have you been able to observe your approach from that standpoint?
Actually, no. I know the history, and I know that Southern Cameroonians are passionate about the history. But the point I have made over and over to my Southern Cameroonian friends, immaterial of what their own solution is that it's really important to not put the emphasis on the past, but to put it on the future. Because quite frankly, again, I have always done my best to tell the truth, to be direct, and now not to be diplomatic. But the pages and pages and pages of history of what happened with this UN resolution, what happened in that plebiscite, where we are today is where we are today. And if the Southern Cameroonian leadership and the elites and the people want to resolve their problems and achieve their full dignity, then they really have to focus on the future instead of coming up with arguments that, well, once upon a time this happened, so it's the responsibility of the international community to all of a sudden create the state of Ambazonia and give it to us. Because, that would be nice, but honestly, it's not going to happen. So we can talk about science fiction and fantasy, or we can talk about reality. And, I have said this over and over, and I will keep saying it, that if the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia want to achieve their rights, they have to deal with the way the world is today.
Yeah, I'm happy you said what you said. They have to deal with the way the world is today. And one of the palangs, if I would say, or the approach that the international community and the world goes about solving conflicts is by looking at the root causes of it. Now, for Southern Cameroonians to flip back through the pages and ask questions, our history was denied to be taught for us. There was probably a conspiracy or an evil mechanization to deny us of what actually begin to us. If they are bringing that on the table of a discussion, don't you think is a smart way of looking? Permit me to use this scientific explanation since you don't want fiction. If you have HIV, for instance, are you going to cure the scabies on your body, or will you be looking to find how to eliminate the virus?
But also, if you have HIV, the important thing is not how you got HIV, it's how we cure HIV. As far as the international community is concerned, again, I'm being brutally honest. Whether your listeners like it or not, I believe in the truth. From the international community point of view, the problems of Southern Cameroon began in 2017. And I know that the problems go way, 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 way back to German colonialism and even before. But if you want to deal with the solution, the international community started paying attention to Southern Cameroons when the lawyers strike, the teacher strikes, and the brutal response of the government happened in 2017.
Yeah. I think that like you've rightfully said, it has also been said that whatever happened in 2017 was just the immediate causes. I'm glad you said it using other words. It was the immediate causes of a problem, and therefore, um, caution must be exercised when providing solution. Prior to 2017, we've had Southern Cameroonian elites and leaders seeking to find a solution to this problem, which they never got until 2017, and now we have thousands of innocent lives being wasted. Don't you think diligence entails that the root cause of the problem is visited again as a way of drafting a proper way forward?
The root of the problem obviously impacts the types of solutions that people look at. But that's only for part of the audience. Because as I said, take a look at the world. Take a look at the quote unquote major crises that are happening right now. You mentioned the international community, and I have said over and over again also, people don't want to hear this. There is no such thing as the international community, because very rarely is there any form of unanimity amongst the major countries in the world on any particular issue. Look at Ukraine. Look at even what's happening in Sudan. The international community, certainly there's not unanimity in who they are supporting in Sudan or how they want the outcome to be in Sudan. So you have to deal with the fact that there is no international community per se, but you want to find a solution from among the major countries involved in any particular problem. So, that's what you have to deal with. It's not a matter of coming to the United Nations and dropping a 500-page study and saying we want our rights. It takes an awful, awful lot of work. And by the way, at the same time, you have people who are actually struggling for independence on the ground, much the way that American revolutionaries struggled on the ground to get us away from English colonization. So it's a multifaceted struggle, starting from the people who are sacrificing themselves in the bush and on the ground in Ambazonia, to the intellectuals, the elites, others who are trying to do this, through the corridors of world powers.
Well, Mr. Nash, now that you brought in Russia and Ukraine, I want to say, in light of Yaounde's clear tilt towards Russia since the invasion of Ukraine, would it not be correct for the Biden administration, if you were to advise, and I understand your top diplomat, though on retirement, but you're still actively doing a lot of work, won't it be a smart thing for the Biden administration to consider very strongly having more direct talks with Southern Cameroon's leadership?
I cannot speak for the U.S. government. I have to say that over and over again. As I said,
And
when I
that's why
was assistant,
And that's why I say
When I
your advice.
well, no, what I would advise, when I was assistant secretary, I considered the Southern Cameroon problem a one of my major, agenda items. Unfortunately, even at that time within the U.S. government, it was very, very difficult to get other people to pay attention to it. Uh, Even members of Congress, I found a few key members of Congress who were interested, but most members of Congress were not. And this goes back to another issue that I think we need to discuss, and that is the disunity amongst the Cameroonian diaspora, the Southern Cameroon diaspora outside of Southern Cameroons, because you're absolutely right. Um, you know, if the Cameroon government was going to really want to get the attention of the United States at this point in a very bad way, they would make a deal with Wagner mercenaries to do something, in Yaoundé. If they were to do something like that, I promise you, they would immediately get the very high level attention of the U.S. government. But, failing that, uh, you look around the continent, you look at the various crises going on, and I have said before, again, being brutally honest, that Washington only has capability to give attention to, in the African continent, maybe 3 or 4 crises at any one time. Beyond that, people just don't see it because it's not taking up the kind of attention that, say, Sudan, even Eastern Congo, the Sahel, Somalia, when we had the Tigray War. Those are the things that are grabbing the headlines. And I'll add one other thing. The poor person in Bafut who was killed is dead. It doesn't matter to him or to her whether it's a major crisis or a minor crisis, but that poor innocent individual is still dead, just as much as people are in a major crisis. That's why, for me, the cause in Southern Cameroons remains a real passion.
Amazing. I'm going to bring you back into a discussion that we have already scratched on it. I understand you speak very good French and understand it as well. This
Pas
is
vraiment.
what, bon, quand même, on va essayer. Même moi, je ne parle pas très bien. But it's important that for us to understand Biya's ideology and La République du Cameroon's ideology, the way they look at the people of Amazonia, we may try to see if we have some understanding of their language. Maybe you should listen to this. I'm sure you would have watched it, and then we will react to it. Stay tuned.
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le système francophone, qui était celui de la majorité du peuple, 80%. Mais je crois que les pays sont soucieux aujourd'hui d'affirmer leur identité. Et c'est pour ça que nous mettons sur pied un statut spécial qui reconnaît la spécificité de la zone anglo.
Well, I would say that is enough. I'm sure you might have watched this, and you might have also seen the way Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians react to those utterances. Some would say God helped him to use his own mouth to say it.
Yeah,
Mr. Nash,
when I was watching that, I thought to myself that, for example, the Canadians, which is the exact almost percentage as Cameroon in the opposite direction, where they have 80% francophone, Anglophone and 20% francophone, they would never ever accept, such a thing. One of the things that I have said over and over again, and I even said this to the Cameroonian government people, I said, it's a very sad state of affairs when you have a president of a bilingual country who could not even make a speech in the second language. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, what Mr. Bia was saying there is their master calculation not to have a friendship or a partnership or a union of two equal states, but to assimilate
Yeah.
uh, a
Yeah.
whole nation who came.
Yeah.
So that's and you may now understand the emotion of Amazonians who may want to reject some fair ideas that people like you would propose. You have made a suggestion that the people on the ground, and I've heard you say a couple of times even here, are facing the brunt of the war, and you would like them to make their own decision. And you thought that a referendum is an option. Mr. Nach, I want to ask you before we get into the intricacies involved with the referendum. I'd like to know, how do you think that can be executed legally in during such a time?
My thinking is not so much the mechanism. As I said before, I am much more interested in achieving justice, dignity, liberty, fairness for the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Referendum is not the goal. Referendum would be a mechanism. And the only reason I cite referendum, it's one possibility. I look at historical cases, and the history I look at specifically related to Africa, but there's obviously others. Referendum is not mutually exclusive from other mechanisms. If I look at the United States of America, the way the United States of America achieved independence is fighting for it, winning the war, and then negotiating the outcome directly with the British. If I look more at Africa, say, let's look at Eritrea. The Eritreans and the Tigrayans fought the Mengistu regime. They eventually chased them out of Addis Ababa. They took over the country, but the Eritreans wanted independence. So they conducted a referendum, and overwhelmingly the Eritreans people, voted to leave, and they created their own country. SPLA, SPLM, South Sudan fought a very, very long civil war against the Sudanese, the northern Sudanese. It was a stalemate for most of it. They liberated a lot of territories, but at the end of the day, the Sudanese government agreed to a referendum. They conducted a referendum, and the South Sudanese voted, I think, 98%, something like that, for independence. If you look back further, even a country such as Norway, they had a union with Sweden, and there was an election in the early 1900s, a referendum, and they voted to disassociate, to dissolve the union, and to create their own country. So in history, referendums have been combined with other mechanisms to achieve independence, so that you have countries that may have de facto independence, but to get the what's called de jure independence, sometimes a referendum is required so that the global community says, okay, the people on the ground voted for it, so we will recognize it. There is another interesting case right now in Africa, which in a little bit parallels the situation in Ambazonia, and that's the case of Somaliland. Somaliland, British Somaliland, and Italian Somaliland joined together to form the nation of Somalia. British Somaliland became independent first. After Siad Barre was overthrown, the Somalilanders very much wanted independence. They fought for it. They achieved it. They have now been running their own state very successfully for 20 some years, even longer. And yet, the only country in the world that recognizes Somaliland happens to be Taiwan, because you know, the Africa Union has its own dynamics, why they don't do it, other countries don't do it. And yet Somaliland is at least as successful a nation as most other nations, around them. So it's a complicated situation, but often a referendum is a very good means to get the international community's uh, acceptance of the state's being.
Do you realize, Mr. Nash, that all the examples you have mentioned, none of them really have a typical story? Eritrea, Sudan, Somaliland, that can be likened to case of Southern Cameroon. First of all, we understand that the two countries, Southern Cameroons and French Cameroon, were UN trusteeship territories. We cannot talk our stories without necessarily linking it with our past. And these two category B trusteeship territories came into an experimental union of two equal status. Now, the union was not done rightfully, it didn't work. Yaoundé themselves cannot even explain how their gendarmes invaded Southern Cameroon, and so on and so forth. This is history we are aware. The United Nations Charter is in contravention of the procedures that were employed to lead us to where we are today. There is no treaty of union existing anywhere. And a lot of people argue that Cameroon has simply invaded or annexed the former British Southern Cameroons, meaning there is a culprit, there is a crime. We're talking about illegality. And I understand that there are two ways of handling illegality, either in a courtroom or out of a courtroom via a negotiation. How do you want a people who feel cheated of independence and who are requesting for justice to be preconditioned with a referendum as a way to determine their future?
So, how would you then fix the situation?
We think that the powers that be should simply respect their own laws.
Yeah, how
Don't you
would that
think,
happen?
to set the right precedence? Because if it is not properly handled, you can have another French Cameroon somewhere else doing just the exact same thing. To set a precedence in a world that we're trying to build a global village and a peaceful, global, prosperous village, don't you think it would be right for the legality and historicity to be addressed with some form of honesty?
You're discussing academics and philosophy, not practicalities. I always get back to the point
I'd like
how
to know why. I would like to know why it's not practical. That's exactly what I'm trying to know. Because
that's why I'm asking you. So, who will do it? How will it happen?
the same actors now, in Kas Nanyangwe's book, he accuses the United Kingdom for departing or conspiring and not doing it, or not handling the situation rightfully. The United Nations is talking very loudly about Sudan today. And unfortunately, the United Nations doesn't seem to speak the way we expected them, cognizant of an experiment that they initiated that has failed. We just think that authorities that be to save more lives should respect their own laws. Isn't that just an honest and simple approach?
Yeah, but I get back to my question. As I said at the beginning, I'm not committed to any mechanism. I'm committed to the outcome. But your approach, from what you're saying, how would it actually be done in
The
today's
first
world?
thing President Sako has suggested is for a negotiated settlement without preconditions. Is it so difficult, for instance, for the actors in the world to oblige La République du Cameroon? Is it too difficult to oblige La République du Cameroon to meet Ambazonia on the table and let discussions begin?
It will never happen.
Why?
If that's what we're counting on, then you will be having the same discussion in 20 years, not with me, because I may be gone by then, but with somebody else. Exactly the same point. There is no country in the world that is going to say to the Republic of Cameroon, you sit down with the people of Southern Cameroons and decide on how you're going to divorce.
Okay, the word divorce there is probably an overstatement because in the United States of America, a marriage is confirmed and sealed when there is a marriage certificate. If do you think, in fact, there is no treaty of union that binds the former British Southern Cameroons, today Ambazonia, and La République du Cameroon. That is an open secret. So why do the world and the United Nations and all the authorities that seek to talk about different things, why would they despise this act of illegality and a belligerent occupation from an occupier like French Cameroon?
Because the world doesn't care.
Wrong then for Southern Cameroonians to say this is an international conspiracy.
The world doesn't care. That's why I told you early on, I look at the world the way it is. I don't look at it through rose-colored glasses. And what I think about and what I care about is how do we achieve what we want to achieve in today's world. That's why I sometimes shake my head at, these wonderful, actually judicial, legal, philosophically correct arguments that are not going to achieve anything.
Okay, Mr. Nash, I'm going to ask you the last question and probably open the line so we can take some calls and reactions from the public. We have seen an exceptional, passionate wave of support and help towards Ukraine since Russian supposed invasion. It's a legal practice within the United States of America to make donations to send weapons. How will it look like if we wake up, or how would Ukrainians look at it if they wake up one morning and somebody is telling the Ukrainian public to sit themselves down and to seek for their independence or their freedom from Russian aggression and invasion via a referendum? How will that sound?
Well, you can't compare the two situations. Ukrainian army is on the ground battling the Russians and pushing them back. And you started with two sovereign countries, both of which were recognized as members of the United Nations, and both signed on to the United Nations Charter. And you had one country physically invade another country. So, you can try and fit that into the Ambazonia Republic of Cameroon situation. But again, you can make any arguments you want and you can win the debate, but the world is not going to see it that way. I go back to the question. The most important thing is to achieve justice and dignity and the full rights of citizenship for Southern Cameroonians. It's not to win points in a scholastic or academic or philosophical debate. The Somalilanders feel exactly the same way you do. They make exactly the same points you do. The big difference between Somaliland and Ambazonia is Somaliland has been running its own country for 20 years. They have a standing army. They have a navy. They have a banking system. They have currency. But still, the world does not give them de jure recognition.
And I believe they actually fought to get that.
They did, and they won.
Okay.
We have,
Right
by the
after,
way, I wanted to let you know, I absolutely have to leave at 4 o'clock because I have
yeah,
another interview to do.
yeah, that's fine. I'm going to take a few questions from the public, and we'll give you the opportunity to most probably leave. Yes, we have a caller here. Yes, we have a caller. Yes, caller. Please, I'm encouraging everyone who is following us right now to be short with your responses. Be respectful. Any disrespectful approach will be totally ignored. Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, Mr. Paddy, it's good to be with you and Mr. Nash on the line today. Mr. Governor, we appreciate you coming on ABC today. My name is Pastor Victor, and we have been following up with all your write-ups and all the contributions you've been putting towards this revolution. My question to you is, you said there that there is nothing called the international community. And what will you say to Resolution 1608 in line with us having justice in line for what we have been through in the hands of the Republic? Where do we keep Resolution 1608? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Natch.
Which one is 1608? Is
Resolution
that the
16.
which one?
XP, I think Article 5, which actually declares Ambazonia as sovereign, or Southern Cameroon as a sovereign. Now, it's important to link that to the United Nations vote in April 21st, whereby a large majority, I think 63, voted for the independence of Southern Cameroon.
Is
And
this the
like
1960? Is this the one from 1961?
yeah, 1961.
You know, again, I have to say, in today's world, it doesn't matter. It's not going to impact one bit the resolution of what happens in southern Cameroons.
Okay, your question, your answer was brief. Yes, caller, please be brief with your response. Very brief. Go ahead, please. You have the floor.
Thank you very much for the floor.
Please, can you switch off your headset, your TV screen?
Yeah, okay. I want to ask Mr. Nash, is he now actually confirming to us that the international community or the United Nations or whosoever is concerned, they are all liars and they cannot attest to the truth? Because he is saying that if it is in the 1961, it will not work. So is he confirming to us that the world has become liars and cannot tell the truth? That's one. Number two, I want to find out from him. He has
One question.
Just, he has requested for one question. So he has requested for one question, please. Yeah, Mr. Nash, respond to that, please.
Yeah, hey guys, you have to remember I'm 74 years old. I can only remember one question at a time. No,
Yes, go ahead.
seriously,
Yes, go ahead.
seriously, on the liars. No, you know, civilization moves on, history moves on, events move on. The events of today have nothing to do with the events of yesterday. So no, I wouldn't say that it's liars, because people in 1961 may decide something, but by 2023 that looked at totally different. So, you know, that's why I'm saying that, you know, we discuss history, go on and on and on, write letters back and forth, but the key is to look at today and how can Southern Cameroonians gain their full rights today in 2023, not in 1961.
That's amazing. I'm taking another caller. We have a caller here. Yes, hello, caller. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, this caller is coming from
United Kingdom. I just want to thank you for bringing Mr. Nash. I want to quickly ask Mr. Nash, if Cameroon cannot, or international community cannot ask Cameroon to come to the table for negotiations, it says it will take 20 years. How do you think telling La Republique to Cameroon to go for a referendum to South Cameroon, they will come to the table or they will do that? And how sure do you expect Cameroon to bring out results that is acceptable to South Cameroonians? Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Nagy.
I didn't get the full gist of that. Some of the words were missing. What did you
Yeah,
say?
actually, she was trying to find out if the international community cannot do anything, how will they be asking Cameroon for even a referendum? What mechanism would they use to ask for a referendum if they can't ask for a negotiated settlement?
You know, that brings back one of the main points I wanted to mention, which you have not brought up, and I'm glad she did, because the referendum, as I said, is a mechanism, and the only way anything mechanism can be effective is if the Cameroonian community, the diaspora community, shows any kind of unity at all. If you have some members of the community who are pushing one mechanism, other members another mechanism, they will never be taken seriously. At the meeting we had yesterday, we had some of the members of congressional staff there, and they said that it is very difficult for them to pay attention to the Southern Cameroonian community as long as different delegations show up with different mechanisms and different resolutions. So it is essential to have some point of unity within the entire community, even if they disagree on, who should be the Minister of Fisheries in the interim government. They have to have some form of unity.
Okay, Mr. Nacha, I understand like you're in a haste. Like I said, we have so much to ask you, several questions to ask. We do not have the time. We have someone that has been sent by the patrons of ABC Amba TV. She has the gift that she'll give to you. They will communicate with you on how you wish to receive it. And I think she'll be asking you a question. After that, I'll beg you to ask you one last question.
Okay, but I actually have to sign off at 4 o'clock because then Al Jazeera will be upset.
Okay, just so she has 1 minute to do that. I'm bringing her on the screen. She'll talk to you then.
Greetings, Ambassador Tibor Nash. My name is Dr. Patience Abiedu, and on behalf of the women who bear the brunt of the war in Southern Cameroon, our girls, our grandmothers, our daughters, you may have even seen videos of grandmothers burying loved ones. On behalf of all these women and the Department of Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, we present to you a unique artifact which we hope one day you'll be proud to put on your wall. It is our history, and you can see independence, UNGA Resolution 1608, which we talked about briefly. We will be sending this to you because, unlike what you said, we believe that history is important to find solutions for current problems. With that said, I want to ask this brief question. US Resolution 684 from the United States Congress has asked that the warring parties go to the table. Why can the international community that you've mentioned doesn't care put pressure for La Republique to go to the table with Southern Cameroons and find the best way? And if they decide on the table that a referendum is the right way, that will be the decision made on the table. But don't you think that would be the first step? Thank you so much.
Okay, very good question. Thank you. If you want the U.S. government to care, you have to apply political pressure, because the U.S. government gets pressure to care about so many different issues. And I go back again, until and unless the Southern Cameroonian community can speak with one voice, the U.S. government is not going to move in any direction because they need to have a common point of pressure. Other communities have figured this out. The Southern Cameroonians have to figure it out too. Otherwise, you will be having this discussion over and over. It's 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, I have to leave.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
I'll let you
Take
go
care.
now. Yep. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. Nagy. Fellow Amazonians, it was a discussion with Mr. Tibor Nash. We had just approximately 50 minutes to have him. We're promising you that we will definitely bring him back again someday. He has an interview with Al Jazeera on related issues, and we have at least processed much. There's going to be a part 2 of this. I think I notified him earlier on about that when he showed interest of the fact or made concerns of the fact that he will not be having enough time. We've been able to communicate we understand the legalities and the illegalities of what is happening now. We are not moved because it took audacity for us to confront La République du Cameroon at the first place. We were told that is something that's impossible. You had even Southern Cameroonians. The world told us some years back, they told the Fongoji Dinkas and many others that it was impossible to take a gun and even to succeed against La République du Cameroon. The interim government knows exactly what to do to continuously mount this pressure and will pressurize the international community. I'm saying this because I know Mr. Nach will watch a part of this program afterwards, that Ambazonians generally do not feel it calmly that a condition for them to advocate or to get their freedom should be decided by the flimsy excuse of them not being united. It is not true that they are not united. And La République du Cameroon, I would have told him this, but he's going to watch it. La République du Cameroon is actually playing that card of not getting or making the international community feel and think that we are not united. So they send their proxies who mimic our faces and pretend to be part of us, and they end up claiming that we are not united, whereas they are not united and they want us to think we're not united. The president said some things very important, which I would like to highlight. He says we are united in purpose, the very basic purpose for those who want freedom of Southern Cameroons. We are united with the freedom. We may have different political institutions, but we have one legitimate interim government which is headed by President Samuel Ekomesako. Please, I'm sorry, I really cannot pick calls now because I'm trying to coordinate a lot of things. He's no longer here. Just bear with me. I won't be able to pick up calls. You saw that at exactly 4 p.m. Mr. Nagy left, which is exactly 9 p.m. in Ambazonia. We initially thought we were going to have him for about 90 minutes, and a lot of you would have had the opportunities to ask your questions. Right after this break, we'll be back with some analysis of the situation, and then we will bring you some reports. For those who are watching us, just stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, Amazonians, we are back, and before Undaunted comes up, we're gonna have some minutes to take. We want to get some of your reactions. We understand that a lot of people from the home front would like to call. This is an opportunity for you to call because Mr. Tibor Nagy will definitely be watching this program. So this will be an opportunity for you to call and make your contributions. There are a lot of people that want to do that. So when you call, endeavor to be brief. Yeah, go right ahead, please. Your life.
Thank you, Mr. Parit King. This is Pastor Victor again. The reason why I call back is because I discovered that there are so many things Mr. Temonaji has spoken that we need to clarify Amazonians in the home front to know that since Mr. Temonaji is a personal human being, he has spoken his personal opinions, and we should not be grieved, or people should not feel bad among some of the things that he has said, because some of the answers have not been very, very truthful. I cannot ask you about Resolution 1608, which is the resolution that gave us our independence. 64 vote to vote for our Ambazonian independence. He said there's nothing like that. Okay, my question I was going to follow up with that is that if America wakes up today and invade Mexico, would they not go back to history to say that no, you have your independence so and so time? This is
Pastor Victor, just a moment, please. Pastor Victor,
you know?
a moment, please. This is one thing I want us to know. He said his opinions are not standard. He's just making, and then he made assertions like that is not how the international community works, and which we do not agree. If the international community is working in a particular way, I'm just enforcing what you're saying. If the international community is working in a particular way and it's not working, it is based on the way that the international community is working that La République du Cameroon assumes in their mind that they will force a people and own them. So it's what he's trying to say. He contradicted himself, and he knew at one time that he did not have answers to what he was saying. And he said we can win a debate, which is an acknowledgement of the fact that we are right in our argument, but should I say, but the dishonesty is too much that we will not be able to have a lead. So you can go ahead, please. Ambazonians, get ready to call. We have about 15 more minutes to receive some calls. After that, we'll take some reports, and that's it.
Another thing that even though when they ask you that question, what is it that we want now? I know you answered. I can't quite remember your answer, but if you have such a question again next time, tell them that the same United Nations that gave us a plebiscite should come and conduct another one for us to for them to know whether are we happy.
That was the last question I was going to ask him, but he didn't have the time.
Right. Otherwise, he cannot just. What we want now is, if you are not convinced that there is a union, that there is no union with La République, as we are saying, which they don't have no legal documents, then come and conduct another plebiscite with us. Let us tell you whether we are happy being with La République or not. Because what they are simply doing here, and what his response can throw people into anarchy. Because when you tell people that there is no international community, people should not. They don't walk by that. They don't work by what? It is the same history, it is the same international boundaries, it is the same United Nations votes that created nations that people are respecting till today. If Britain rise up today and say they are taking back America because they don't respect the United Nations resolutions that voted for America's independence, how does that throw the world? It throws the world into anarchy or fighting. So I think sometimes you really need to join the world.
Yes, sir. Let me take the next caller. Let me take the next caller and get their reaction. Yeah. Amazonians, you can call. We have some time for it. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Greetings, Director Paddy. Thank you so much for taking my call. This is Dr. Emmanuel Tita. I just watched fully the interview with former Ambassador Tibor Nagy. In line with what Pastor Victor was just talking about, we need to make things very clear to our people. We're not going to keep accepting lies. And people come and be telling us false stories all the time and say, oh, we should that there was no international community. Yes, there was an international community. We also, the international community came together during COVID-19. There was lockdown in the whole world. They connected everything in the whole world. There is an international community. Our people he cannot come here and tell us that we should forget about the history. There was incomplete decolonization in our territory. The United Nations need to come back and complete that decolonization process and request for Liberia to Cameroon to withdraw its military and its colonial administrators out of the territory of Southern Cameroon. Yes, we were not going to be taking these lies. The government forcefully want us to accept false information that, it will take you years. The Amazonian diaspora community is not united. That is a lie. We are fully united under this struggle for Liberia to Cameroon to withdraw its military and its colonial administrators out of Amazonia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a caller from the home front. I'm taking the next caller from the home front. Yes, caller, go ahead. What's your contribution? Please, you want to reduce your TV set and increase your volume.
Tibor made a statement that the international community doesn't care. That is a very offensive statement. He knows that people are dying because La Republique knows the truth and does not want to come to the table. And the international community too is not pushing.
Where are you calling from the home from, my brother? Bui County, okay. Go ahead.
So for him to come on social media and make such an offensive statement that the international community doesn't care, that's terrible. He's openly telling us that the international community is just a toothless dog. People should be going on and killing each other for nothing. So I don't like the kind of responses he gave.
Yeah, this somebody calling from the home front in Bui that's reacting. Mr. Nach will definitely get your feedback. Yes, let me get the next caller. Yes, caller, go right ahead, please. Can you reduce your set? Can you reduce the sound of your set, please? Reduce the sound of your television set. Just reduce the sound of your television set. Yes, go ahead. Okay. You see, whatever Mr. Tibor Nash has said is a feedback. And I'm glad that as a seasoned diplomat that he is, he's made it clear that he's airing his own opinion, and his opinion could be right and or wrong. A lot of things he has mentioned, he's saying that those things are not to be compared. I'm shocked that Mr. Tibor said we cannot compare the fact that our people are dying and with the fact that the people of Ukraine are dying. And he said those were both members of the United Nations. But Mr. Tim has educated the public a lot about membership and the fact that we're not, or whatever they call the international community. Literally, there's really nothing like the international community. But there is a community of nations that comes together through the instruments of the world. And that's what the people are calling international community. There is nothing in the somewhere like an office that says this is the office of the international community. But Dr. Tita said the international community, the community of nations came together during COVID-19. The community of nations came together, joined themselves in the Security Council General Assembly when Russia invaded Southern Cameroon. And all of this is exactly just about the whole thing. Maybe semantics to eliminate the fact that there is no community. Then you're saying that people should probably live in isolation or perhaps just a chaotic world. While we're waiting for So many questions we could not exhaust. But like I said, your reactions will um, will be very easy. I'm seeing something here which we already tackled. Answer to Tibor Nash's question. The decolonization process of the Southern Cameroons was a very unique and peculiar through a plebiscite mechanism. Yeah, that's a fact. It was through a plebiscite mechanism. The United Nations granted Southern Cameroon's independence by joining Cameroon Republic on February 11, 1961. That's true. The UN should use the very mechanism of a plebiscite to assess if Southern Cameroonians are satisfied in the independence by joining. Well, I wouldn't even call it again independence by joining, because it is an attempted joining that did not happen, and the president said it outrightly clear that this joining never ever happened. Well, after the break, we'll get some reports and, and probably end with some calls from the public again. Let's get some brief reports, and we'll be back.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Get trained as an IT professional from the comfort of your home. Dynamic Tech Academy gives you a unique opportunity through our 6-month program, during which you learn skills to transition to being a full-time IT professional. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet the vast majority of them land jobs a month after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student placement, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will give you a resume, interview preps, one-on-one coaching from experienced instructors, and job placement assistance. Within this course, you get more than 300 hours of theories combined with real-world applications and practical skills you can apply on day one on your job. At the end of the program, our students can be certified as Red Hat Systems Administrator, AWS Cloud Engineer, AWS Security Specialist. Visit our website at www.dynamictechacademy.com to register.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Okay, yeah, we're following some reactions here. I want to read a reaction from some of our audience. It's important that we have this on the record. One of our mothers has just written, listening from Honorable Tibor Nash, one gets the sense that all that Ambazonians have been doing has, has been have been putting up a show for themselves. The UN or international community pays no attention to it because it means nothing to them except from 2017. And if it is from 2017, they are for Cameroon as a one and indivisible country. No support for no support for an independent Ambazonian Republic. I think that's what she wanted to say. And she says, my suggestion is that for every Ambazonian who believes that Ambazonia shall never die, this is the time to resist by donating to build a very strong Ambazonian restoration forces. Yes, I think that once the restoration forces will speak louder, the international community will understand better. Yeah, we have another caller, Nesno Chiba. He wants to make a reaction. Yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yes, Director, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. You did an excellent job. Mr. Tibor Nagy also spoke very, very well. I don't see anything wrong in what he said. That is a diplomat. You know the way diplomats speak. A diplomat can also be like a lobbyist. So don't expect him to come out there and begin to talk in your own favor, to say exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
What I got from him is that he said he is a very passionate person to ensure that Ambazonia should get justice. What is justice? It's independent.
Yeah.
To gain their freedom, all of those things. So you do not just expect it to go out there and tell the internet, tell La Republic or whosoever that, no, I want these people to be independent or what.
Yeah.
It could have been a problem if he came out and said, no, Amazonia cannot have independence. They cannot have any freedom.
Yeah.
So what we have today is that he even went as far as revealing some secrets to us, telling us, citing examples of other people who fought and achieved their independence. So he's telling us that we need to fight in order to change the republic.
And that our independence is possible.
Yes. So that is the reason why he was citing examples of left and right, and even talk about the United States also. So as far as this issue of unity is concerned, like you were saying, I think we are very united. The problem is because some of us, we go out there to promote disunity in the name of individualism.
Yeah.
We have to stand out as a country, Ambazonia, with a government. That is the reason why I keep saying that we don't have to be projecting people and say they are leaders or this. No. We are fighting a war between a country and a different country. So if I have time to ask that question to him, because I wanted to thank him and American people for standing up against the Russian invasion of Ukraine because it is their own territory. So for him to say that they should give a referendum to Southern Cameroons, can he propose a referendum to Ukraine so that Ukrainians will vote in a referendum to accept?
I asked him that question, Ochiba, and he said, we can compare the two. But his justification was not very clear. I hope next time he will have to explain that for us to get it. Go right ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yes. So, brothers and sisters, all these things that you people go out there, pushing the Republic narrative that people are divided. We are a country. We are not groups of people. We are not like individuals. So you, even in home front or everywhere, those who are in prison everywhere, the areas you people believe that Amazonia is a country with a government, the better. That one it is going to defeat the narrative of groups. We did not join La Republic as groups. We did not join La Republic like leaders or whatsoever. Okay, by the way, if you really suggest, like I asked Akwanga's wife one time when they were talking about the LCS, I said, okay, Since you people want to believe that you are equal, you are leaders, you are stakeholders, you are this, you are stakeholders, you are this, why can't you not bring $100,000 each from your various groups and put it down and fight the war? She said no. She said no. So when you hear people coming up to the and begin to say that they are stakeholders, it is not a business. It is not any company that you say you are a stakeholder, you want to invest in it in order to reap the fruit. Freedom fighters are people who are fighting on ideology, liberation. We are not fighting to be compensated with position or whatsoever. So I believe the ambassador spoke very well. That is how the diplomatic language is. And coming from the West, they don't even want to be reminded of their mistakes. So what we need to do now is to continue to fight and free our people. And make no mistake, all those who are still parading themselves, listening to the Republic, believing that they can still manage a referendum, manage this, all those kind of stuff. Why is it that you continue to cry for 60 years instead of you liberating yourself to manage your own resources, manage your own life? You want to say, oh, we want to go to La Republic, we want to do this, we want to talk this, whereas you know La Republic cannot keep to her promises. So I'm very, very happy for the interview. He did his best. So he never said that he doesn't want us to have independence. So he said we should fight for it. Thank you.
Yeah, Ochiba, I think your contribution is very laudable. Tomorrow, watch Ochiba, myself will be live to talk to break this down. I'm taking another caller. Amazonians are calling. Okay, I'm taking another caller. Make your contribution, please. Yes, make your contribution. You're live on TV.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. This is Bernard. Yeah, just in line with what the UN has said. I think that the interview is great. Congratulations for what you did. I know he's one of the first person who has not used that word peace. Said justice. I want justice independent. I want ambassador, and he pronounced that word without no fear of trouble. I want ambassador to have justice. That's our independent. As you really said, a diplomat, he cannot just go and reveal certain things openly. And then the second point he said, you can when we talk about referendum, say you have two options. America needs they fought for their independence.
Yeah, he gave the two options, yeah.
The firepower should be found, get your independence. He said that if you don't want the referendum, fight firepower. That thing is done well. I don't think anything can condemn it. As a diplomat, you absolutely right. We have two things. We need to fight for independence ourselves. Now that's what it means. That's my contribution.
Yeah, thank you very much. While I'm waiting to connect for the news, I'm going to take some more calls. Lots of people are trying to call in. I really want to take those from the home front who are trying to call, and it's challenging. But in the meantime, let me read what Professor Ali just wrote. Okay. Can you connect now? Yes, reduce the volume of your set if you want to make a contribution. Reduce the volume of your set, please. Go ahead, we're listening. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Homefront.
Where precisely?
In Malcolm.
Okay, you're calling from Menzam County. Yeah, go ahead, we're listening.
Yeah. Now that Chibina says the international community cannot assist us, who then will conduct this referendum? That's my question.
That's a good question. Well,
whom he knows that they don't do any good election.
Okay, now that's a very brilliant question there, and this is the point I want to make. He didn't say there's no. Well, I think I think he was just trying to say that there is really no organized thing called international community, but there is a community of nations that reacts, because at one point he spoke about the way things work. How do these things work? These things work. They work via the aid of nations. So it is quite important that conditions are set and met at this point. Thank you very much. Let me take another caller. I'll enjoy to take more of the callers from the home front. We're having people in the Ambazonian Amba ABC Amba TV Club. They are reacting, and this is open for discussion. I would want to read this from Professor Ali. And he says, in politics, we need to be changing positions as we see the game is changing. The way this guy is talking about a referendum, if we see that is the same way they want to go, let us meet them with conditions of referendum. There cannot be any viable voting with Ambazonian leadership in the diaspora. They need a buffer zone and immunity on leaders to come register voters. That's an option which can be looked into. The registration of voters shall be by county and LGA. La République du Cameroon has nothing to do with the management process or counting of the results. Everything has to be in the hands of the UN or Ambazonians. This is debatable. But again, Ambazonians are saying, if the international community can make all of this happen, Professor Ali, if the international community has the ability or capacity to make this happen, then they can also bring Cameroon on the table. Let's even start a friendly conversation. Let's have an honest conversation where Cameroon is represented. Not a conversation that they will boycott like the Swiss. Not a conversation that they will send their prime minister, an Ambazonian or a Southern Cameroonian, to deceive his brothers to go and sit in Canada and chop some money and live in some hotels, and then they boycott it. We're thinking that if that is the way to go, if they have the ability to make this happen, then they should start by helping the parties, the warring parties, converse. If they can do this, then let's converse. Perhaps in the conversation, like the president said the last time, we could come to a point where we'll propose some things too that they'll be happy about. Okay, the reactions are many. The conversation has animated Ambazonians. Okay, has animated Ambazonians, and we have people calling and wanting to call. Prince Chinje, if we accept any form of referendum, they will just disappoint our thousands of people that have lost their lives. Yes, so Ambazonians are not in agreement with that. Pastor Victor is calling again. Yes, please make your contribution. Yeah, reduce the volume of your TV set and make your contribution.
I had text you that I really want to pray for Ambazonians. I know UN has come there to say Tibor and Nagy has spoken well. For me and you, he has spoken well. But for the ordinary Amazonian that was hoping for something from a person that we
yeah, Pastor Victor, I'm giving you the opportunity to conclude, but I just want to say something. We as leaders or activists or as those who have taken responsibility to lead our people, we must learn, especially within the interim government, to take the role of educating our public. This same public 7 years ago did not even know that they are not a bilingual or an indivisible nation. It is an emancipation, and I think UN is doing a very good role. The role we should take is not to demonstrate our frustration with an international conspiracy or manipulation, but to educate the public on how to process information so that it can help them to keep their faith as we continue to fight. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, in fact, just in addition to thank you for adding that to what I was trying to say, because my point here was that yes, we need to educate our people to be strong, especially those in home front, and we are here to tell people that when you hear some of these things from diplomats that speak more, we are under even more than they speak with us, don't be frightened. Now, I'm going to say this, and I want to beg them for you for 1 minute to just...
No, go ahead, please, sir. Go ahead. You have the floor. If you really want to play, perhaps you want to pray towards the end of the program. Since we still have a lot of people reacting, if you want to pray, I'll actually call you to pray. Pastor Victor, Pastor Commando actually wanted to call again, but Tibor Nash was rushing, so I'll give him the opportunity to call again. If you want to pray, do you want to do it at the end or you want to do it now?
Let me leave it for that time. But the contribution I wanted to put across was that Tibor Nagy knows that Yaoundé has been frauding every election. For him to stand and be accepting for a referendum or whatever, what is the guarantee that Yaoundé will conduct this one free and fair? They know.
No, he is not suggesting for Yaoundé to conduct it. He's saying that the international community or the UN should conduct a referendum. And I'm correct that the UN cannot conduct it. We have.
That is from what By said the other day.
Yeah.
It will be that country. It's not. So that is where the issue of a referendum doesn't even fall anywhere, because who is going to conduct it? Like the Republic of Amazonia. We don't have what it takes here to conduct an election like that. So we cannot allow, just like you ask him, who Ukraine, allow Russia to conduct a plebiscite and whether a referendum, whether they should stop the war or not. He could not answer that. So that was the next time I was going to also say.
There are 3 questions I asked that he could not answer, and so he decided to ask me a question.
I know. Okay, thank you. Take other calls. Call me back as we conclude. Thank you.
Okay, that's amazing. We're going to get Pastor Victor to pray very shortly. So let's I'm trying to receive indication if the newsroom is ready to go live, and then we can effectively go live. Okay, perfect. That's amazing. So we will definitely have Pastor Victor join us to pray and close this session of an amazing program we've had. We'll be bringing in the newsroom any moment from now, and right after an editorial that we have to play, there's a reversal of our program for today. So as soon as we're done with that, we'll get the newsroom on board to have to give us some reports from the ground, and then we'll let our man of God pray for us to close this wonderful session.
Reading through the most recent press release by the interim government on its position on the issue of referendum to all Ambazonians, internal and external stakeholders. There are divergent views and proposals among stakeholders, both internally and externally, on how to resolve the ongoing conflict in Ambazonia that has resulted in an unprecedented 21st century genocide perpetrated by the regime of the Republic of Cameroon, also known as La République du Cameroun. Among these divergent views is a proposal for a referendum to be held in the territory of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, former UN Trust territory under the British, to determine the future of Ambazonia. Cognizant of the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1608 XV of 21st April 1961, granting independence to the UN Trust territory of southern Cameroons and the subsequent non-execution of all the processes of decolonization prescribed therein, the interim government, representing the aspiration of an overwhelming majority of Ambazonians, has been clear and consistent in articulating the basis of the root cause of the southern Cameroon's problem, which is the non-execution in its entirety of the above-mentioned UN resolution, thus paving the way for the annexation and recolonization of southern Cameroons by La République du Cameroun in 1961. Therefore, complete decolonization is what we seek, and this involves complete restoration, absolute sovereignty, and recognition of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as the 55th state of Africa. We believe a plebiscite, a non-binding survey of our opinion by the US, is an acceptable democratic process to ascertain the majority view of southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Since the last plebiscite of 1961, if there is any doubt about the majority position, we object to any proposed referendum on grounds that it presupposes falsely that southern Cameroon is part of the Republic of Cameroon, also known as La République du Cameroun, and is seeking to secede as an independent country. We were granted independence in 1961. It was only the joining that did not take place legally, and the Republic of Cameroon withdrew from the Union project in 1984 when they reverted to their original name prior to 1961. We have never been part of the Republic of Cameroon, so we do not need a referendum to decide if we can separate from a non-existent union. Also, a binding referendum will exclude the genuine dialogues we need to address the root causes of the conflict, because it is based on winner takes all. We are not fighting to change the form of government in the Republic of Cameroon. We are not also fighting for constitutional changes within the Republic of Cameroon, French Cameroon. We are fighting against annexation. We are defending our restored independence. Annexation cannot be resolved through a referendum because it is either a right or wrong issue. Just as the solution of rape is not marriage, we do not need a referendum to tell right from wrong. We need the international justice system or a negotiated settlement. If the UN wants to serve the majority opinion on this issue, they should conduct another non-binding plebiscite in the southern Cameroons, not a referendum. This is the threshold position of the people we represent. Therefore, any views or proposals that seek to mask the status quo of southern Cameroon's colonial status under the Republic of Cameroon is far-reaching and do not represent the aspirations of the overwhelming majority of Ambazonians as far as this liberation struggle is concerned. Furthermore, the reasonable, immediate way forward to end this conflict, supported by the international community, external stakeholders, is a genuine, all-inclusive dialogue, mediated negotiation process. The interim government, under Dr. Sakho's leadership, has advocated for this process, which was spearheaded by the Swiss, but the Republic of Cameroon failed to commit. To concretely resolve this conflict and subsequently resolve the issue of the sovereignty of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia once and for all, another plebiscite preceded by internationally mediated negotiations should be the right steps forward. This is signed Samuel Ikome Sakho, PhD, President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroons, on the 23rd of April 2023. And with that, we've come to the end of this press release.
Good evening and welcome to Unjoined, into the news on Church Stories. I am Onyi Opala. Let's begin. Ahead of the annual BRICS summit, 19 nations have submitted membership requests. The growing prominence of the BRICS countries is only set to continue expanding as 19 nations have submitted membership requests ahead of their annual summit. Meanwhile, with the different groups involved in the conflict in the former British Southern Cameroons, also known as Amazonia, it is difficult with exactitude to point a finger at a particular group after an incident. Even though some actions sought the usual of a particular group, it takes the intelligence service of the interim government led by President Sako to be able to state with veracity the author of an action. What can even come of the ill-intentioned educational system forced on the people of the southern Cameroon's Amazonia by the colonial Republic to Cameroon's government? Education, others will say, is the key to success, but this is not true in the word of some southern Amazonia, like a lady called Anita. Anita dropped out of school because of the inability of her parents to shoulder her education. But she's using her skills to help humanity. Well, just about now, we just finished having an exclusive interview with Tibor. But let's get into the carefully selected stories in tonight's briefings, just right after the break.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Amazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought in media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, and 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Amazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.ambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
With their different groups involved in the conflict, in the former British Southern Cameroons. Ambazonia, it is difficult with exactitude to point a finger at a particular group after an incident. Even though some actions sought the usual of a particular group, it takes the intelligence service of the interim government to be able to state with veracity the author of an action. The insecurity in Amazonia has reached a level whereby uncertainty is now looming in the air, with one leaving in the morning and not sure to return in the evening. Their situation has pushed many to renew their faith in the Almighty being for protection. Many now see the emptiness of life with a conclusion that all is but vanity. After all, it is appointed unto man to die one day. The point of interest should rather be on what one is dying for. Cowards and heroes will certainly not feel the same in the land of the living. It is better to die for something than to live for nothing. Well, the people of Mbe in Santa local government are still to recover from the shock of never seeing four of their killed by gunmen on Saturday, April 22nd, 2023. The question is, what could have motivated the attack and who are these gunmen? Well, the people of Mbe village in Santa local government area, Mazam County of Amazonia, are yet to come out of the shock that strokes them as armed men killed four of theirs, including some princes and a quarter head. Well, undaunted, got it that Achiri, Ngu, Teres, and Silvanus were shot dead at a drinking spot not far from the May Palace. Saturday night, breaking Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. Sources have also indicated that gunshots were heard in the evening hours of Saturday, and the result was four men lying dead in the pool of their blood. One of those killed is suspected to be the bar owner, with many saying he was of the quarterheads in Mbe. Unofficial sources has it that the gunmen took away some of those who were at the bar where the incident happened. The identities of the killers remains a mystery, as no one has claimed responsibility for the act. Happening within the context of the Anglophone crisis, such incidents are always linked to the high level of insecurity triggered by the Anglophone crisis that went deadly in 2017. The conflict is responsible for thousands of civilians' deaths, as pointed out by a Human Rights Watch World report of 2022. There has been no official outing from the authorities of Santa Subdivision and the traditional leaders of Mbe. Right, moving on. Education, others will say, is the key to success. This is not true, in the word of Anita. Anita dropped out of school because of their inability of her parents to, take care of her education needs. What can even come of the ill-intentional educational system forced on the people of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia by the colonial Republic of Cameroon government? It is this bad that the education system that spurred the resistance against La Republic de Cameroon in 2016. La Republic de Cameroon important system of education in Amazonia is just to train job seekers and not to create job owners. Many in Amazonia have preferred going to their entrepreneurial ways to postulating more certificates. Anita is famous for the sale of palm oil in the Atlantic zone of Amazonia. Today, though she dropped out of the schools that is run by La Republic de Cameroon, but she's creating jobs for even others. The question is she not better than some certified job seekers? Well, this report says a 27-year-old young girl who dropped out of school for lack of fees is now a reference point in the red palm oil business in Likomba market. Likomba is in Tico local government area of Fako County in the Atlantic zone of Amazonia. The young girl, who prefers to be called Anita, says she ventured into the business in February 2022. In an exclusive chat with the media, Anita said she chose the business after finding it difficult to further her education for lack of tuition fees. In her words, she said, I started in February after dropping out because of the school fees. My father could not afford the fees to send me to the university. She goes on to say it is the first time the young girl is making a debut in the business and says she counts on the public to excel. Well, of course, you know what Undaunted can do: help all of the helpless. Well, her shop is open for business at Likomba Market. She supplies wholesale. Well, she can be reached at 671 859 352. That is 671 859 352. All right, and moving on. The Colonial Deal for Tinto local government area Manu County urges municipal councillors to be evangelists of peace as armed conflict paralyzes development efforts. Well, failed colonial repressive genocidal CPDM junta continues to concede defeat in the Ambazonian War of Independence. Rising insecurity as a result of confrontations between the Ambazonian Restoration Forces and the Colonial Republic of Cameroon State Forces has been identified as a major factor impeding their development of Tincho local government area in Manu County. Well, according to a colonial municipal councillor, the council's 2022 earmarks projects are either pending realization or yet to kickstart, especially in localities closer to Libya-Lem County, known to be one of the hottest zones of the socio-political conflict. Well, we have the mortuary since 2022 that this contract was awarded. The contractors are still dangling with it. The new council chambers given out since 2016 has not been realized till now. Shops that were to be constructed at 30 million francs CFA in Tinto. Well, from this report, it says that nothing has started yet. A drainage system given in 2022 for 30 million francs CFA has not started either. The solar electricity project has been partially done with execution as poor standard materials were used. Well, that's why we are demanding the contractors to redo it. We have query sites in Tincho and in Futabe which are inaccessible because the contractors are sleeping. Well, even though the colonial mayor, H. Joseph Ayong, told his collaborators, the councillors, that the non-realization of completion of some of these projects is due to delayed FACOM, that is La Republique du Cameroon's council support funding body. The funding, the colonial deal of Tinto during the council's budgetary session mentioned rising insecurity as a major threat to this project. While the colonial deal, Fugong Amajo did not mince his words. In his words, he says, tell the population that no project will be realized in Tinto if there is no peace. Owners of those construction machines say they are scared to work because of threats that their machines will be burnt. As a way out, the Colonial Republic of Cameroon Administrative Officer commissioned their municipal councillors to be peace crusaders in their respective communities. Here, the colonial deal, he says, we shouldn't only sit and come for sessions. Try to get to your areas and preach peace. For us to succeed, I want councillors to be the first people to champion the peace crusade that we are about to launch. He goes on to say, clear that colonial, repressive, barbaric, genocidal Yaoundé CPDM failed government that has now realized that arms will not help and has turned to recommend the Bible as a way out to end the conflict. However, there will be no peace without justice for Ambazonian terrain. All right, well, this is a follow-up story. Remember, in October 2022, we brought you a report about the PCC church. Well, only a corrupt church like the PCC Funky version takes its cases to be settled by the word of corrupt judges. The decision was pronounced at the Ndokiti Court of first instance on Monday, April 24th, by the presiding judge after Ndip Philip, the belated pastor of PC Basser, presented a letter from church hierarchy withdrawing the case. Reverend Funky, the PCC moderator, had vowed to jail the 4 Christians accused of beating Ndip Philip in October last year in church. The examining magistrate had, from the beginning, signaled that the case was a non-event and advised the church to withdraw it. Now, the Presbyterial Secretary for East Mungo South, Ayuk Jones, Ndip Philip, and elders of the PC Basser, who from the beginning swore to have the accused behind bars after realizing the emptiness of the case, shamelessly initiated several meetings begging the Christians who have boycotted church activities for over 5 months to return to church. The begging crusade did not bear fruit. While the chairperson of PC Bonamo Sadi and the national patron of Trinity Choir were then hired to beg the Christians to come back to church. Even though the 4 Christians who were in court had been asked to rally Christians for a reconciliation service anytime soon as their own contribution to appeasement, there are no hopes that peace will return to PC Basser except Ndip Philip, who is sacked and audited, and a congregational meeting held. Well, the faith of elders of PC Basser now hangs on the departure of Ndip Phillips, probably in May this year, and the outcome of a congregational meeting. On the other end, the interim chairperson of the PC Basser, Akwanjang Philimena, who recently wrote a secret letter asking for Ndip Philip to be sacked, will be the 4th victim of any peace talks. She had initiated night vigils praying for the spirit of the late husband to rise and beat up any opponent of Ndip Philip. While Christians were and are still surprised that she suddenly turned to love Ndip, whom she earlier swore to see his departure. She is said to have masterminded the Pews project together with the morally battered Ndip Philip. The project was swallowed unaccounted millions of francs CFAs with virtually no results. In anticipation of any eventual disgrace, the remnants of the elders in PC Basser, Fumba Collins, Perpetua Achu, Ewena Scheller, Ari Wilson, and the financial secretary Adigma Evangeline are planning to fight back using all the means at their disposal. Meanwhile, Ndip Philip is still facing possible court action for threatening to eliminate 5 Christians of the PC Basser. Well, that's Funky's version of the new PCC, whose managing is worse than that of the corrupt La Republic de Cameroon's government. On the other end, it's denied. The reigning or the ruling body is the prototype of the CPDM Central Committee, influence peddling, intimidation, settlement of skulls, occultism, divide and rule, bribery and corruption. Funky's version of the PCC has made the church more money-centered than spirit-centered. The pastors are unforgiving and very mundane. In fact, every parish or congregation has become revenue collection centers. Well, let's see how this unfolds. We'll definitely bring you up to speed with more reports. All right, and on the foreign scene, ahead of the annual summit, 19 nations have submitted membership requests. The growing prominence of the BRICS countries is only set to continue expanding as 19 nations have submitted membership requests ahead of their annual summit. Moreover, the event is set to take place in South Africa this summer, as a host of the nations are seeking entry. Earlier this year, the BRICS collective made it known that they were open to new members. Additionally, as the bloc of countries has surpassed the G7 nations in the GDP, the PPP, it seems expansion could continue to implement a shift in the global power balance. Specifically, amidst their continued effort to replace the US dollars in their international trade, ahead of their annual summit taking place in South Africa, the BRICS have seen 19 nations submit membership requests. The countries are seeking to join growing collective means already comprised of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and of course, South Africa. Well, ABC gathered that the emerging application list following previous statements on their willingness to expand. Additionally, Anel Skula, the South African ambassador to the group, discussed this with newsmen about the summit. Specifically, the topics are set to be on the agenda for discussion in the June event. What will happen, he said, according to Bloomberg, additionally stating that 13 countries have formally asked to join, another 6 have also asked informally. So, conclusively, Skolel said new applications are submitted every day by countries. Hmm. Meanwhile, last year, China initiated a discussion regarding potential expansion. Conversely, there was concern among the BRICS nation about their influence being diluted. The report states specifically that there is concern over Beijing's close allies being included, mostly due to China's gross domestic product already being twice the size of the 4 other BRICS countries combined. Well, it seems like these BRIC nations will bring a lot to their word come their summit. Well, we will be following up closely to bring you up to speed with every information concerning this BRICS summit coming up. Well, we'll head back to Mr. Pardy's studio.
We the people, ABV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless. The voice.
And why did you opt to come back to my studio? That was an ambush because I wasn't ready to get it back. I would say Onye and Star in Studio 2, you're doing amazing. Amazonians are appreciating everything you're doing. Congratulations for the immense work you're putting in to make sure that the untold stories are handled. The president has just shared a particular concern, which I've shared it with you people. The note I've sent to you. Make sure you follow that through. We're having a meeting with everyone tomorrow in that regard. It's a serious concern, and I don't know why that should still be happening. I want to also seize this opportunity for those who are watching us. There is a communique that has been sent out from the permit me to get the facts so that I'm not giving a misinformation like I saw Beretta did the other day. So this communique is coming from the Department of Home Affairs Community Mobilization. It was signed by the Secretary of State for Home Affairs and Community Mobilization, Secretary Steve Nebafu, and it reads invitation to an IAPP enlarged town hall. The date of this town hall is Thursday, the 27th of April 2023. It says that every Ambazonian internal and external stakeholders. The presiding will be the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikomesako. He said main points of the agenda will be the state of the liberation struggle, the President's recent international engagements, the interim government's position on the issue of a referendum, county and LGA updates, some departmental updates, an announcement, a Zoom link for this meeting will be published later. I want to steal this opportunity, though it is not in this document signed, but at least I consulted with the Office of the President before this was organized. He's also going to be talking about the ABC Amba TV Day. that it was scheduled for the 29th, that's Saturday, but we're going to have the pre ABC Amba TV day, that's the tentative, and next Saturday, that is the Saturday the 6th, I hope I'm not mistaken with that, will be the ABC Amba TV day. It's going to be a kind of festival. We'll start on a Friday with some seminars and discussions. We'll bring historians to discuss, and the general public will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, I see you're all flattered, enjoying the beautiful production. Is also, we'll be calling you on this day to come and make some donations, very important donations, bring ideas and strategies we can use. We have one patron whose husband, they don't want to be identified, has already pledged 5,000 US dollars. And the reasons why this pledge was made is because of an information that we provided to them. We are hopefully going to be providing that information during this town hall that will encourage a lot of donors to give that. The patrons have already started donating. The Lobati family, Dr. Lobatis, the two Dr. Lobatis, husband and wife, the House Speaker, they're giving to us every month a minimum of 1,000, I think 1,200 US dollars as patrons. There are times they exceed, like this month they had to exceed. We have other patrons like Ma Victorine Yagni. We have there are quite many, and there are other patrons who don't want me to call their name. One of our patrons somewhere in Africa sent 500 US dollars a few days ago, about 3 days ago, and specifically instructed us that we should not mention his name. So Ambazonians are passionate, and you see, this is the only platform where you have a serious discussion in this dimension and this amplitude. I'm going to be bringing in Pastor Victor in a few minutes to pray. That will be in just maximum. I have just about 4 minutes, and Pastor Victor will pray so that we can leave. Let me take all of these announcements. The president will be having an international press conference number 2 for this year. This is the second quarter. We had the first one in the first quarter. We hope to have BBC and more media houses. We've received confirmation from the home front already, and the Republic of Cameroon, and some journalists who are interested due to the outcome of the first one that are willing to participate. And this press conference has a tentative date, which is the 31st of this month, Monday the 31st of this month. We want to make sure that the press conference takes place on that day. It can only be shifted if the president says so. If the president will want us to, first of all, do the anniversary and the launch for him to have the press conference, then it might go until the 8th of May. But the arrangements we are making are arrangements for the 31st. Is a press conference where the president will articulate to the international community the wishes of the peoples of Amazonia that he's leading during this critical time. We've had a very wonderful discussion, and we had a high profile coming to give his opinion, and I'm happy he said his opinions are not unique for a solution, and therefore we don't need to bother ourselves. At the end of the day, if it is about consulting, because a referendum is about seeking the people's viewpoint, making a decision. So if it is about consulting the people on their opinion, then they should consider a plebiscite. Or why not just make sure that you let the people that are being served today by their interim government to tell you what is best and what will bring a terminal or final solution. We will be having Pastor Victor now to pray as we close this session. Tomorrow, do not forget, at 8 p.m. Amba time, we will send out publicity shortly. 8 p.m. between 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Amba time. Do not forget myself, Ochiba Nelson, and Wachai. We hope to bring some other activists. We'll be live on ABC Amba TV to decode and break down some of the discussions of today in Pidgin so that our people will understand better. Pastor Victor, the floor is yours. Pastor Victor, please, you want to put switch off your set?
to honor what the future of your state?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Fellow Amazonians, greetings to everyone. Indeed, fellow Amazonians, greetings to every one of you in the home front and around the world. I just had a burden ending up this program today with a word of prayer because I felt in my spirit that an ordinary Amazonian needed some words of comfort and the ability for them to move forward after listening to Tibor Nagy, who diplomatically has spoken well, according to some viewers, which is okay. But what I want to bring here is a statement he made. He said there is no international community. And that day, Papa, the reason why I called you back that I should pray is because about a month ago, the Lord came and gave me a revelation about the revolution. And the revelation was very, very, for me, it was like very difficult to present, to tell somebody. It took me 2 days to tell it to the interim, to the prayer house, to the cabinet of the prayer house about this revelation. But what Tibor Nagy said today was a pure confirmation of that revelation. What the Lord came and told me was, have you ever seen any pastor who goes on to tell who goes on to tell a couple to divorce, that a couple is in misunderstanding and that pastor comes there and tell that couple that, okay, go and divorce. And the Lord said, we should stop looking on any man, because the deliverance of the people from Amazonia is going to come from me, God, not from any man. It's not going to come from any nation. It's not going to come from any human being. It's going to come from God. And I knew how much our people trusted the international community. And it was a burden for me. How do I share this out? How do I share this kind of a revelation? But while I was contemplating, the Lord took me to the scriptures, which I just want to read 2 verses from there before I pray. In Jeremiah chapter 17, from verse 5. The God confirmed that word to me with this word in Jeremiah 17:5. It says, this is what the Lord says unto you. Cursed is anyone who put his trust in a fellow man. Cursed is any man who put his trust in a fellow man, who draws strength from the flesh of a fellow man, and whose heart turns away from the Lord to trust in a fellow man. He described the person that the person will be like a bush in the wilderness that will not see prosperity when prosperity comes. That they will dwell in parched places in the desert. But verse 7 says, but blessed is the man, or blessed is the nation who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. For he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bear its fruit in season, and its leaves shall ever be green. So I come today to encourage the people from Amazonia that the words of any diplomat, including those that we heard today, should not move any Amazonian into grief or into feeling that, oh, we were looking up to these people and hear what they are saying. Because what the Lord gave me that day has just been confirmed today, and I had shared it just to the interim prayer house. But I came live to let Amazonians know that the Lord says the deliverance of Amazonia is in my hands. It is not in the hands of any person or in the hands of any nation out there. So stop looking up to any nation and look up to heaven, to God, who is the deliverer of Amazonia. And it goes out there to say, beware. In Colossians 2:8, it says, beware lest any man spoil your thoughts with philosophies of men and deceit and the traditions of men of this world. And this is what we see today. The people of Amazonia are being spoiled with the rudiments of men, the traditions of men, and the philosophies of men. How can somebody come and say there is no international community? He may have spoken only one thing that he was the one speaking, but he comes to affirm to the people of Amazonia that God wants you to know that deliverance shall come from me and from me, God. That is why Deuteronomy 24 says, for the Lord your God is the God that goes ahead of you to fight your battles against your enemy for your sake. It is the Lord your God, Amazonia, that goes ahead of you to fight your battles against your enemy for your sake. And last scriptures, before I pray, Isaiah 41 verse 21. The Lord said, present your strong case, present your case to the Lord and support it with strong reasons why you think you are right in what you are doing. Present your case to the Lord and support it with strong reasons. We come today to present our case to the Lord and to support it with strong reasons that the Lord God had ordained the freedom of Amazonia in 1961 when our independence was voted for. 64 member states voted for their independence. Yet they will come around to cajole us and to bring down our spirit to say that there is nothing like Resolution 1608. Let Abajunians know that that word is legalizing and giving room to the Almighty God to step into this revolution, even though he has been the one fighting for us, but to make Abajunians know clearly that the hand of the Lord is the one that shall deliver us. We've heard many prophecies that have come out, and Father, we stand today to attest that your perfect will for Amazonia will come to pass. Our trust is in you and you alone. That is why you gave us a president that fears you, a president that calls for prayers, a president that looks up to you for help. And that is why Amazonia is succeeding today. Every other one that called themselves leader have been corrupted because of that deceitful mind. And that is why they have been corrupted. And even though Devil Nagy knows very well that the Republic has corrupted many of our so-called leaders, yet hypocritically, they will still say they want us to be one. They want us to be one people. They want us to be united. How do you unite with the people whom the Republic has corrupted? Like the tribe and the Anu, Christopher and the rest that I cannot mention here. How do you unite with such people? Yet, they will bring out that propaganda. All of this is to attest to the fact that only God can deliver us. Father, we come to you today with a strong reason that you made Amazonia a nation on its own, but because of the intricacies, the manipulations of human beings, the wickedness of man, here our people are dying daily, and yet somebody would say that they cannot go back to history. Oh my God. They cannot go back to history. So what is the history there for? Can America now, can Britain wake up one day and say, I am taking back America? Is that not going to bring world war? Why would Britain never do that? Because there is history that shows that Britain, that America got its independence from Britain. That is why Britain cannot arise again to go and say he came over America. And somebody will tell us that history doesn't matter. These are the fairy tales that the public cook out and people come and they are propaganda on us. I pray, oh God, that the people of Amazonia will be encouraged to fight for their freedom. And Father, we are grateful because you have been fighting for us invisibly. You have a great and invisible army in Amazonia that the Republic cannot see and has been fighting for us. I pray with this confession from Tibor that there is no international community. It tells us that only you, God, can bring us out of this devil Republic. And therefore pray in the name of Jesus that you will begin to do more havoc to the Republic military that come into our territory. Father, they shall fall by the roadside. Father, they shall collapse when nobody has been shot at them. Father, you shall bring mysterious death upon them, that they themselves will begin to run out of Amazonia. Lord God, you did this for Israel. When you curse the three nations, Moab and Seth and Mount Seth and Ammon, that came against Jehoshaphat, you make them to begin to fight themselves and destroy themselves because you did not want them to fight that war with the children of Jehoshaphat and the Israelites. I therefore pray, oh God, not by might, not by power, but that our enemies who have decided to destroy Amazonia's independence, decide to destroy our legacy, to take our land, may they begin to fight against themselves and destroy themselves, and that Amazonia will go in and collect his voice and take back his territory in the name of Jesus Christ. Lord, we attest today that you are the only God we look up to. You are the God that will deliver Amazonia. And therefore, Father, we look up to you from whence cometh our help. The Bible says, looking unto Jesus, Hebrews 12 and verse 2, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the same reason that he saw the need for us to be a free nation, gave his life on the cross. Father, we look up unto Jesus. Jesus, deliver Amazonia from this wicked nation called the Republic. Deliver us, O God. And they have told us that there is no international community. May the heavy hand of God come upon our Republic. May the heavy hand of God come upon our Republic in a mighty way that they shall know there is a God that fights for Amazonia. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you, mighty God. Protect our restoration fighters. Give them victory at every battle they go out for. Any that the public be that and military that go to our territory, may they return back in their body bags. For we did not go into their territory to tell what does not belong to us. They came into our land to tell what does not belong to us. Therefore, they will not go back alive in the name of Jesus Christ. Father, we thank you. Thank you, Lord, for our president, President Sako. Guide and protect him, oh God. Thank you for every Amazonian leader that has been out there fighting for this revolution with their whole heart. Lord, thank you for those that are supporting our president in his cabinet. Thank you for the prayer warriors that have prayed at this time to see a free Amazonia. Lord, we give you back all the glory. For we know that Amazonia's freedom is inevitable. It's only a matter of time. And may that time come sooner than later, Father. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we have prayed, and the people of Amazonia declare a big amen and a bigger amen to the glory of God in the name of Jesus Christ. Mr. Paddy King, still alive. I want to make a quick announcement before I go.
Amen.
The president has declared fasting, a 3-day fasting, beginning on May the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. A 3-day fasting beginning May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We call on the entire Amazonia to gather and pray in your corners that we are at the last lap of this revolution. Let God's any hand come upon the Republic, that Amazonia may be free, because that is the only thing that we need now. Seeing the international community have told us that they have no hand in this, we are on our own. We now can only depend on God to bring a heavy hand on our Republic. We've heard all of those promises. They definitely go to say we are divided. Like Republic is more divided than us. He does not tell us why a group is in Canada trying to do negotiation, while another group is announcing that they didn't sell nobody to Canada. That is how divided the nation of the Republic is.
Yes, Pastor Victor, thank you very much. Pastor Victor, thank you very much. Tibor Nash just said his own opinion. He's one voice among many voices in Amazonia. We applaud him and appreciate him. The truth is, during such a time, it is rare to have a true friend like Tibor Peter Nash. He's a friend with his own opinion. He's not an Amazonian. And Amazonians have a right to their opinion, which is what Tibor Nash is fighting for. Our right to self-determination. Our right as to the way things can happen. He has given to us his own counsel. He said he cannot advise the U.S. government, but at least he also, in other words, cannot dictate to the U.S. government. That's the same. He cannot dictate to Amazonians. He can only present. There are other stakeholders like Tibor Nash who might not exactly hold the same opinion to Mr. Tibor Nash. We're going to have a part 2 of this conversation, and that would not necessarily mean us talking about a referendum again, but to talk about other issues as these days go ahead. It was a great time, I would say a great time of great blessing with Tibor Nash. And I want to leave you again with this interim government position, because it cannot be articulated any better than this. Stay tuned with ABC Amba TV Images. Until next time, God bless you. Tomorrow at 8:30, maximum 8:30, we'll be live with Tori, myself, UN Ochiba, and Wajai. God bless you. It was Tapariki.
Reading through the most recent press release by the interim government on its position on the issue of referendum to all Ambazonians, internal and external stakeholders. There are divergent views and proposals among stakeholders, both internally and externally, on how to resolve the ongoing conflict in Ambazonia that has resulted in an unprecedented 21st century genocide perpetrated by the regime of the Republic of Cameroon, also known as La République du Cameroun. Among these divergent views is a proposal for a referendum to be held in the territory of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, former UN Trust territory under the British, to determine the future of Ambazonia. Cognizant of the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1608 XV of 21st April 1961, granted independence to the UN Trust territory of southern Cameroon and the subsequent non-execution of all the processes of decolonization prescribed therein, the interim government, representing the aspiration of an overwhelming majority of Ambazonians, has been clear and consistent in articulating the basis of the root cause of the southern Cameroon's problem, which is the non-execution in its entirety of the above-mentioned UN resolution, thus paving the way for the annexation and recolonization of southern Cameroon by La République du Cameroun in 1961. Therefore, complete decolonization is what we seek, and this involves complete restoration, absolute sovereignty, and recognition of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as the 55th state of Africa. We believe a plebiscite, a non-binding survey of our opinion by the US, is an acceptable democratic process to ascertain the majority view of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Since the last plebiscite of 1961, if there is any doubt about the majority position, we object to any proposed referendum on grounds that it presupposes falsely that southern Cameroon is part of the Republic of Cameroon, also known as La République du Cameroun, and is seeking to secede as an independent country. We were granted independence in 1961. It was only the joining that did not take place legally, and the Republic of Cameroon withdrew from the Union project in 1984 when they reverted to their original name prior to 1961. We have never been part of the Republic of Cameroon, so we do not need a referendum to decide if we can separate from a non-existent union. Also, a binding referendum will exclude the genuine dialogues we need to address the root causes of the conflict, because it is based on winner takes all. We are not fighting to change the form of government in the Republic of Cameroon. We are not also fighting for constitutional changes within the Republic of Cameroon, French Cameroon. We are fighting against annexation. We are defending our restored independence. Annexation cannot be resolved through a referendum because it is either a right or wrong issue. Just as the solution of rape is not marriage, we do not need a referendum to tell right from wrong. We need the international justice system or negotiated settlement. If the UN wants to serve the majority opinion on this issue, they should conduct another non-binding plebiscite in the southern Cameroons, not a referendum. This is the threshold position of the people we represent. Therefore, any views or proposals that seek to mask the status quo of southern Cameroon's colonial status under the Republic of Cameroon is far-reaching and do not represent the aspirations of the overwhelming majority of Ambazonians as far as this liberation struggle is concerned. Furthermore, the reasonable, immediate way forward to end this conflict, supported by the international community, external stakeholders, is a genuine, all-inclusive dialogue, mediated negotiation process. The interim government, under Dr. Sakho's leadership, has advocated for this process, which was spearheaded by the Swiss, but the Republic of Cameroon failed to commit. To concretely resolve this conflict and subsequently resolve the issue of the sovereignty of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia once and for all, another plebiscite preceded by internationally mediated negotiations should be the right steps forward. This is signed Samuel Ikome Sakho, PhD, President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroons, on the 23rd of April 2023. And with that, We've come to the end of this press release.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Ambazonia people them, any side where you dey at always salute. I want to talk for we today about this matter where it turn all side with the hearer. Some people they call and say referendum. Some people them they propose say may we make our fight for Ambazonia. May it be na a fight for referendum. I don't hear that talk so they correct from my ear. Now I say make I can't tell you now. Say something they happen. May not take we all by surprise because that book is big plenty. That English book, English word now one way no matter all we go that book we will know the difference. And for the generation, I not go expect say a few book people they she done they go confuse all we. Then we don't know what the way it happen. They will all we will find we say we go enter na inside sea. We drown. We no go fight this fight reach for this level. We miss them again. We must win. We must take back our country. Because we feel lose fight not be because we don't know how to fight, but because we make mistake. We feel lose fight not because we don't know how to fight, but because we be ignorant. We fight, we not fight with sense, and we don't know what they do. The enemy take advantage, and some people then to the day where they push their agenda. With sometimes they get their own paper for inside whether they leak out. So make I take my own time. I explain this thing for all may we understand. That people when they talk say this will fight for independence. So may we change them. May we instead talk say we the fight now for referendum. Make I clarify this thing for all Ambazonians. Because may I use their number one argument whether they give and say United Nations if we give referendum for Southern Sudan become independent. They give referendum for Eritrea get independent from Ethiopia. So make we talk say United Nations will give our own referendum for Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia so that we too will get our own independence. That thing they so it like na poison for inside honey. May I explain what way me I know. And me I no pass all man. Man we know this matter pass we. Make he also explain am. Me I hear am. But me I know say referendum na something where governments for the world and United Nations they use am for solve internal problem for inside country. They also use referendum for change constitution and make important constitutional provision them for inside the same country. For example, if Cameroon want change something for inside their constitution, they want do decentralization, they change the constitution. And if they discover say they want to know whether people they like federalism, they feel make a referendum. Because any other thing where they want to do, any major internal change for inside country, they feel use a referendum for bring about that change. And when, for example, when South Sudan, they be give the referendum, they not be independent. They will be na part and parcel of Sudan country, the Sudan nation. But because of their agitation, they will just say no, one girl, one country. The United Nations tells Sudan say, okay, we will organize a referendum so that through that referendum now they can give South Sudan independence. When Eritrea, it be also get problem with Ethiopia. They say they want go. United Nations can't give Eritrea referendum. Eritrea be a part and parcel of Ethiopia. They not be independent before they give them referendum. So the matter between Eritrea, the people of Eritrea and Ethiopia, it's been an internal affair. But because the agitation we don't go too far, United Nations say, okay, we'll give them referendum. We know whether by law we carve them out as a nation. So after the referendum, United Nations give them independence. But for Ambazonia, the Southern Cameroon, we don't already be independent. For 1961, United Nations already give we independence. So I think that this fight will be fight. So no na fight for being independent. We no be part and parcel of La Republic. So we know they no fit use referendum for decide whether we be part of or remain part of La Republic or we will go away, because we never join in the first place. We don't need referendum for know whether we be Southern Cameroonians. We already know say we be Southern Cameroonians. Even the United Nations na be pronounced we independent and we be decide say we go join. The marriage waka, marriage certificate no dey. They join it, we no join. Even the thing will be one starter called Federal Republic of Cameroon. It's Chakara. La Republic don't go their own side. They go choose their own name where if they be enter the marry with them. Which we don't go take our own name. We'll be start with them. We don't restore our own independence. We'll be first getter. How some people they can't talk now say maybe United Nations can't give referendum. May we know whether we go be independent or not. How many times some man they get independent? Which country don't get independent 2 times? These people they talk say we need a referendum. That means say they don't agree now. Say we not be first of all be independent before. Say they don't agree with La Republic. Say we'll be one and indivisible with La Republic. But may United Nations can't give a referendum so that we will fit determine whether we fit be separate and independent or not. No. Our case now one way marriage it be fair because marriage certificate no be Treaty of Union no be there. The marriage join. The marriage fail. Jumba fail. Any man don't go on side. La Republic no take back their independence. We too will take back our independence. Now you can't tell we say we get for talk say we need referendum before we go know whether we will be independent or not. You want give we independent 2 times? If we be there part of La Republic, if a there or Betwa or Marwa, if they agitate today say they want separate a Fang people, they want separate for get their own country, they go give them referendum because they never ever be independent. They never ever get international boundary. They get for after the independent now they will come now carve their own country. They give for them after that referendum. But we no need referendum to be independent because we are already independent. United Nations they use plebiscites for matters where they concern independent countries. But when it concern internal matter, they use referendum. May I give you the difference between referendum and plebiscite? When United Nations be one can ask we whether we will join Nigeria or Cameroon because we be sovereign people, because we be separate and independent, international recognition, they not be give we referendum. They only consult our opinion for what way they call and say plebiscite. They consult our opinion. And after we give we opinion, then they tell we say, okay, if na so, una go do before una go fit join with this country. Una get for sign a treaty, una get for get a federal, una get for agree on how that country go be, una sign all paperwork. When the United Nations want to consult the opinion of a sovereign nation, they give them referendum, they give them a plebiscite. Because that plebiscite is not a legal, be binding. It's just a survey, an opinion survey, where you go fit help them for make the best decisions concerning that sovereign people or that sovereign nation. But why you go come tell we in the middle of a fight for defend our restoration where we already restore? Tell we say, may we forget about that one. May we pretend like say we no be get independent. May we come back and agree with international public say we will be one and indivisible. But may we ask for a referendum. And so that if La Republic, they do what they know how to do for 62 years. If the international community, they enter conspiracy with La Republic, including France, they do anything what they want to do. When that referendum result come out, where it not go happen in 1 year, 2 years time or 3 years time. If it take 10 years before they put a referendum together, if it take 5 years, 6 years before referendum go put out. When they go do that 5-6 years, they go do everything, eliminate all this our fighter, they turn everything upside down. When they go fit turn around, they talk say no, people way they talk say they want join La Republic, now then win. If they decide so, dialogue will be again. Any man where he win referendum, dialogue end. When you accept say you want solve this matter by referendum, it means say you don't suspend dialogue because for referendum now winner takes all. Whoever win a referendum, that's the end of conversation. No dialogue. And La Republic know how to win any election. Anything will concern election and vote. Anything where they happen inside the country where they call and say their own, one and indivisible. They know what to do. Yes, they know what to do. But if United Nations give you the doubt something, or you want to know exactly how their first plebiscite be waka, and why they join in no be take place, and which side, how this marriage don't waka, and why, what to be the position of the people of Southern Cameroon today, whether they will support we or they no will support we. If United Nations want do that kind of thing, they want know which side where the majority stand, they go consult our opinion on the matter. They no go give we referendum because they no go give we referendum to know whether we want be independent or we no go be independent because we don't already get independent. What happen for that first independent? They will consult with opinion, then they discover say okay, majority of these people are standing on this, and then they go fit advice or make resolution for United Nations accordingly on the matter. Yes, now so this matter get for be. Now so this matter get for be so. Anybody way they try for play ball with La Republic, say may we surrender our restoration, our defense of our restored independence. No pretend say we'll never be independent before. Men a United Nations, men are through a United Nations referendum will go know whether we go be independent or will not go be independent. That person don't already sell out to La Republic. Yes, he don't buy La Republic their position on this matter, and I suspect every other thing that follows. If you buy La Republic their position, I suspect any other thing will follow because I cannot pretend say La Republic no will be a separate country from Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon. I cannot pretend say we will not be get independence from 1961 resolution 60608. I cannot pretend. And if we be get that independence, I cannot pretend that the United Nations will come give we a referendum for determining whether we are independent or not. I no go agree that one. God bless you.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television,